I gave my sons $100 million. I built an empire from nothing after losing my husband at 25. But when I found love again at 82, they said no until my new partner opened a briefcase and showed them $500 million in assets. Their jaws dropped. Suddenly, my happiness mattered. But that's not where this story ends. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about family, love, and living life on your own terms. Hello, my name is Jaleesa, and I'm 82 years old. Would you sit with me for a while and listen to my story? It's been quite a journey. 60 years ago, I was in my mid-20s when I met the love of my life. Robert was a romantic, the kind of man who took me to the movies 3 times a week without fail. We fell in love at first sight, and just 3 months later, we were married. Our honeymoon apartment was tiny, barely bigger than a walk-in closet. But we were happy, so incredibly happy. Robert got a job right after we married, and he treated me like a queen. Every evening, when he came home from work, he'd bring me a single rose. Every single day, he'd wait by my bedside each morning until I woke up, watching me with those sparkling eyes, and whisper, "You're like aged wine, mature and sweet." On weekends, he'd play our song on his old record, play the Tchaikovsky piece that was playing in the cafe where we first met. We'd dance slow dances in our living room, lost in our own world. Sometimes, watching the rain fall outside our window, he'd pull me close and say, "My love, with you, I don't even need an umbrella. Even if the whole world cries, we'll keep smiling." Looking back now, those memories are like precious jewels. Robert was honest and hardworking in everything he did. Just making eye contact with him made me happy. I believed he'd be by my side forever. But we weren't even married 3 years when tragedy struck. There was an accident at the factory where Robert worked a machine malfunction. In an instant, he was gone. Just like that. My world shattered. How could life be so unfair, so cruel? At barely 28 years old, I became a widow with 2 baby boys to raise alone. Thomas and Michael had just turned 1. I spent years crying, feeling like the sky itself had abandoned me. But my sons were my life, my reason to keep breathing. I worked myself to the bone to feed my family. I took night shifts at factories, waited tables at diners, did manual labor, sold things door to door, anything that would put food on the table. My youth, my energy, all my tears. And sweat went into raising Thomas and Michael. I couldn't give them everything other kids had, but I made sure they had school supplies, decent clothes, and enough to eat. I kept Robert's photograph close to my heart as I raised our boys. When they'd ask, "Mommy, where's Daddy?" I'd look into their innocent eyes and say, "He's watching over us from heaven. You need to grow up to be honest and good, just like your father was." Those were hard years, grinding years. But I had one dream, to see my boys through college and watch them get married. Then one day, a miracle happened. With some help from my family, I managed to open a small restaurant, just a tiny storefront, really. I decided to specialize in short ribs, the dish Robert loved most when he was alive. I named it Crown's Short Rib House, after Robert's last name, Crown. I thought it would make him smile from wherever he was watching. Every day, from before dawn until late at night, I selected the best ribs, simmered them for hours to make the perfect broth, shaped the meat patties with my own hands. Between serving customers and washing dishes, I barely had time to breathe. But I poured all my love for Robert into every bowl of soup. At first, customers were few and far between, but gradually, my sincerity must have shone through, because regulars started coming back. Word of mouth spread through the neighborhood about Crown's Short Rib House. After about a year, I started seeing lines forming outside my door. 2 years later, a local newspaper came to interview me and ran a story with the headline, "You must try this short rib soup." It felt like Robert was helping me from heaven. After 5 years, Crowns became famous throughout the region. People drove from hours away just to taste what they called a revelation in a bowl. I could barely keep up with demand, cooking day and night. As the business grew, so did my confidence. I went from being terrified of being a small-time landlord to owning multiple properties. I bought buildings, bought land, opened franchise locations, built a brand, all because of Robert. I saw it as his gift to me. For 40 years, I ran that business with everything I had. There was no time to rest, but the sense of accomplishment was enormous. I was so grateful that Thomas and Michael grew up healthy and strong. But I also carried guilt I'd never been able to give them the attention they deserved when they were young. So I decided to make it up to them. I wanted to show them how much I loved them, how sorry I was for all those missed moments. I gave Thomas a building worth $50 million. I gave Michael a building worth $50 million, over $100 million total in assets transferred to my sons. I planned to leave them everything else when my time came. But lately, I've been feeling a chill in my heart. After a lifetime of struggle and sacrifice, I want my final years to be less lonely. Is that so wrong? Why can't my children understand that? I met someone, a wonderful man who brings me comfort and companionship. But when I told Thomas and Michael I wanted to remarry, they were furious. "Mom, are you kidding me?" Thomas shouted, his face contorted with anger. "Dad's barely been in the ground, and you want to bring some stranger into our family?" "That's right!" Michael chimed in with accusation in his voice. "You swore at Dad's grave you'd never remarry. You'd stay single for life." Their harsh reactions cut deep. These were the children I'd sacrificed everything for, and now they wanted to block the last bit of happiness I might find in this life. But I couldn't back down. Not this time. "Thomas, Michael, listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Do you have any idea how I feel? Yes, I'm scared too. Getting married again at my age is terrifying. But your father's been gone for over 50 years. 50 years! I've been alone long enough. I want someone to share my remaining days with." But they wouldn't budge. They got even harsher. "Mom, think about it," Thomas said coldly. "You're 82 years old. What marriage? People will laugh at us. You'll be the talk of the town." "Exactly," Michael added with a sneer. "This guy's obviously a con artist after your money. Can't you see that? He's so suspicious." Their words felt like daggers to my heart. It was as if everything I'd dreamed of was crumbling before my eyes. But I refused to give up. I'd spent my entire life sacrificing for my children. Wasn't I entitled to think of myself for once? "Listen to me, boys," I said, my voice shaking. "I gave up my youth for you. I worked myself to exhaustion raising you alone. And now, when I want to find a little happiness for myself, you treat me like this? I deserve to be happy too." I couldn't hold back the tears. They streamed down my face as I stood there, facing my son's cold indifference. After a tense silence, Thomas spoke up with venom in his voice. "You know he has a criminal record, right? He's shady, Mom. He's going to disgrace our family name." "What?" I was shocked. "That's a complete lie. He comes from 3 generations of respected doctors. He's an accomplished man." Michael laughed bitterly. "Oh, please, Mom. Don't be so naive. He's obviously sweet-talking you to get at your money. Wake up!" I felt rage rising from my toes to the top of my head. "You ungrateful children," I shouted. "Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'd fall for some con artist after building this empire? I know exactly who he is. I've done my research. I took a breath to calm myself and continued. In fact, I just met with him a few days ago. We had a long conversation. He's a distinguished doctor and successful businessman who's built considerable wealth over decades. He's been alone his whole life, just like me. We found each other because of love and trust, nothing else. I looked my sons in the eye. Trust your mother. I'm not senile yet. He has zero interest in my money. In fact, he wants to donate most of his wealth to charity and worthy causes. Both sons burst out laughing. Oh, come on, Mom, Thomas scoffed. Is he some kind of billionaire? There's no way he has more money than our family. If you're enjoying Jaleesa's story, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It helps us share more inspiring stories from seniors who've lived extraordinary lives. Now, back to what happened next. Just then, the doorbell rang. In my argument with the boys, I'd completely forgotten that I'd invited him over that evening. Oh my, I completely forgot I invited him for dinner tonight. Let me go let him in. I rushed to the front door. There he stood with a warm smile, accompanied by two assistants carrying large briefcases. Jalisa, hello, he said. I'm here as promised. I'd like to introduce myself to your sons. Despite my nervousness, his calm presence gave me strength. We walked into the living room, where Thomas and Michael sat with suspicious expressions. Mom, who is this? Thomas demanded. I stood tall and made the introduction. Boys, this is Dr. James Morrison, the distinguished physician I've been telling you about. The man I plan to marry. Dr. Morrison stepped forward. I'm the man who wants to spend the rest of his days with your mother. I'm hoping for your blessing. Thomas cut him off rudely. Dr. Morrison, how much money do you actually have? More than our family? Or are you just after our mother's fortune? Dr. Morrison's expression didn't change. He gestured to his assistants, who brought forward the briefcases and opened them on the coffee table. My financial portfolio is all here, he said calmly. As you can see, I have approximately $500 million in real estate and liquid assets. I plan to donate the vast majority to charitable causes. I have absolutely no interest in your mother's money. We all stood there with our mouths hanging open. He had far more wealth than any of us had imagined. And his demeanor, his bearing, everything about him radiated success and integrity. Meeting your mother, he continued, has been the greatest fortune of my life. If I can bring her happiness and love, money means nothing to me. I'm also not interested in any inheritance meant for you and your brother. Thomas and Michael exchanged glances and slowly nodded. What could they say in the face of $500 million? Well, Thomas finally muttered, if Mom really wants this, I guess we can't object. We'll support you. Tears of joy filled my eyes. I grabbed Dr. Morrison's hand tightly, then pulled both my sons into an embrace. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. After all the struggle, I'd finally claimed my right to happiness. This remarriage wasn't selfish. It was me standing up for myself, choosing joy in my final chapter. The wedding day was magical. For the first time in decades, I wore a wedding dress again, and it fit perfectly. The guests' warm wishes touched my heart, but nothing compared to the loving look in James's eyes. We honeymooned in Europe, and when we returned, our new life together began. James was still busy with his medical practice, but every evening without fail, he came home to me. He always told me he loved me. Our happiness seemed complete until tragedy struck again. One terrible morning, I got a call that Michael had collapsed. He'd been rushed to the emergency room with a brain hemorrhage. The doctor said his condition was critical. I thought my heart would stop. When I got to the hospital, Michael was in intensive care. He'd had surgery, but remained unconscious. The doctor said he'd been showing warning signs, stress, and overwork, but I'd been so wrapped up in my new marriage that I'd missed them completely. The guilt was crushing. I stayed at the hospital every day, holding Michael's hand and praying. Thank God, after 10 days he regained consciousness. But there was permanent damage, partial paralysis on his right side. The doctors said he'd need extensive rehabilitation. With James's help, we got Michael into an excellent rehab facility. But seeing my son unable to pursue his passion for photography anymore, watching him lose his will to live, it broke my heart all over again. I visited Michael every single day. Sometimes I'd ask Thomas to stay with his brother while I took care of other things. Thanks to James's support, I could focus entirely on Michael's recovery. Gradually, my son's spirits improved. Finally, Michael recovered enough to come home. I was overjoyed until I learned something that shattered me. Thomas had barely visited his brother during the entire hospitalization. He'd been too focused on running his restaurant, he claimed. And worse, the money I'd sent him specifically for Michael's care? Thomas had used it for his business expenses. I confronted Thomas. He actually had the nerve to raise his voice at me. Mom, I'm barely keeping my restaurant afloat. How am I supposed to drop everything to take care of my brother, too? He did eventually apologize to both Michael and me, but the damage was done. A deep rift had opened in our family. We lived happily for about 5 years. Everything seemed settled, peaceful. Our family had found its balance. Then, James came to me with unexpected news. "Jaleesa," he said quietly one evening, "I want a divorce." The words hit me like lightning. "What? What are you talking about?" He kept his voice steady, but I could see this wasn't easy for him either. "I've had a dream my whole life," he explained. "As a doctor, I've always wanted to go to Africa to help people who have nothing, who are sick and suffering with no access to medical care. I never had the chance before. But now, with our kids grown and settled, I want to spend my remaining years fulfilling that dream. I hope you can understand." My mind reeled. After all this happiness, how could he just leave? My vision blurred with tears. But then, taking a breath, I understood. This was the man I'd fallen in love with, someone driven by compassion, by a desire to heal and help others. That pure intention was what had attracted me in the first place. "James," I said softly, reaching for his hand, "I support your dream. There are people in Africa waiting for someone like you. Our relationship doesn't have to end just because you're going away. We can stay in touch, support each other from a distance, and build something new, a different kind of love." Even as I said these words, grief washed over me. Love found so late in life, now ending in goodbye. But I was also grateful. The years with James had given me not just happiness, but personal growth and strength I'd never had before. I decided to embrace my independence rather than fear it. The excitement of a new chapter actually outweighed the sadness of this one closing. Michael is thriving now. The photography that started as a hobby has become his profession, and he's quite successful. Thomas took the cooking skills I taught him and opened his own small rib restaurant. It's really taking off. As for me, I've learned to stand on my own, carrying forward the love and trust James gave me. We still communicate. He's in Africa now, doing exactly what he dreamed of doing. I miss him terribly sometimes, but supporting his dream is how I show my love. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. My remarriage, which seemed so perfect, took a direction I never anticipated. But I have no regrets. Every twist has been an opportunity for growth. Many more surprises surely await me in the years ahead. I'm ready to accept each one with humility and grace. I carry this philosophy now. Love exists because I exist, and I exist because love exists. I want to live the rest of my days with this understanding. To everyone listening, I hope you find revelation and new beginnings around every corner of your own life's journey. As long as you don't give up, your potential is limitless, even during the hard and lonely times, and believe me, I've had plenty those moments become the foundation for precious wisdom. Let's sing songs of love and courage together, today and every day. At the end of this long 82-year journey, I've discovered yet another seed of hope. I pray that bright light accompanies all of you on your path forward. Thank you for listening to my story all the way to the end. I'm rooting for you to create your own beautiful life story. Remember, it's never too late to choose yourself. It's never too late to find love. And it's never too late to start living on your own terms. This is Jaleesa signing off. Stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep living fully.